Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 games that critics and fans couldn't agree on. For this list, we'll be looking at games that left many players feeling like they were playing something completely different from the reviewers. Be warned, this may involve some spoilers. Can you think of an even more divisive game? Let us know in the comments. Number 10, Deadly Premonition.
Zach, that was some aggressive car washing. She's crazy. Like a cat in heat.
An open-world survival horror game with David Lynchian overtones, Deadly Premonition was one of the most artistically and technically ambitious games of its day. Set in a built-to-scale rural town with NPCs who each had their own 24-hour schedule, Deadly Premonition did its best to make its world feel uncomfortably real. The result was immensely weird and hugely polarizing, even amongst critics. It still boasts a Guinness World Record for its wide range of review scores. But while many critics panned it, a cult following of fans quickly developed and hailed it as an unappreciated masterpiece.
Aside from you and me, there seems to be no other guests or workers around.
What's that? The salt in that white shaker there.
Thank you.
Number 9, Mass Effect 3. When it first landed, Mass Effect 3 was hailed as a fittingly epic conclusion to the critically revered sci-fi series. The game's cast of characters and the relationships the players built with them continued to be its greatest strength, while the combat mechanics and the visuals had all been given a pleasing polish for the third installment. However, while players were largely in agreement over the game's pros, a large number were outraged over one element which they simply could not abide: the ending. In a series that's all about the choices that players make, many were aghast to see how little impact their decisions had on the story's conclusion. Some even appealed to the Better Business Bureau, accusing BioWare of false advertising.
You have a difficult decision. Releasing the energy of the Crucible will end the cycle, but it will also destroy the mass relays. The paths are open, but you have to choose.
Number 8, DMC, Devil May Cry. Whenever they revisit a beloved franchise, developers face the classic second album conundrum. Do they serve up more of the same and risk being accused of laziness, or do they take it in a radically new direction which could alienate current fans? To their credit, Capcom took the bold approach with DMC, reimagining the central character and revamping the gameplay. And while many critics were excited by this fresh approach to an aging series, die-hard fans were livid at the alterations made to their iconic leading man. As a result, the game undersold and Capcom quickly abandoned their new Coke approach, giving fans back the classic Dante flavor they knew and loved for the next installment.
Sorry, Dante. I'm back in this.
Number 7, Street Fighter V.
That thing that Master was saying? The essence of the fist is the core of fighting. Right? Sure thing. Let's get to it.
Street Fighter V makes for an unfortunately familiar story in modern gaming. While it was praised by critics for its finely tuned combat and sweet visuals, players who purchased it early found themselves in possession of a game that was basically only half finished. With no single-player mode and a hugely unreliable online setup, many were left frustrated with an undoubtedly excellent game that they had basically no way to actually play. Aware of this, Capcom eventually released an arcade edition of the game, which restored the beloved solo mode while filling out the number of stages and characters. Sadly, this would be far from the last time that players were left disappointed by developers rushing a game out the door before it was actually ready. Number 6, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3. Each new Call of Duty game basically goes through the same perplexing process. The game arrives to rave reviews with praise for the new weapons, spruced up visuals, and added game modes. Players flock to the stores to buy it in record-shattering numbers. And then they quickly decide that this one is also garbage that they hate, just like all the others. Modern Warfare 3 was pretty much the zenith of this odd phenomenon, enjoying the most successful launch day of all time before becoming one of the most complained about games on the internet. Criticism about the game's lack of originality certainly had merit, but when the same old sells this well, Activision are unlikely to lose much sleep over it.
Confirm Florian is on board. Exfil complete.
Hold on, we're going vertical. Multiple contacts, lower rooftop. Cross, get on it.
Number 5. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2 is a prime example of another one of modern gaming's major bugbears: microtransactions. Critics were largely positive about Battlefront 2, especially its online multiplayer mode. But players felt their online experience was tarnished by the huge advantage which was gained by spending real-world money on extra content. In response, EA upped the amount of rewards which could be earned from online play, but restricted it to those who put in a huge number of hours. When players complained about being asked to play for upwards of 40 hours to unlock a single character, EA issued a response on Reddit explaining that this was to give them a sense of pride and accomplishment. It quickly became the most downvoted post in Reddit history.
Made it. I told you the First Order wouldn't win today.
Number 4. Dark Souls 2. The Souls games have become uncontested critical darlings thanks to their sadistically punishing but perfectly balanced style of gameplay. The second Dark Souls game was no exception, with critics across the board gushing about its eerie atmosphere and more polished visuals. Some players, however, felt that Dark Souls 2 failed to live up to the promises of its trailers and that it made for little real improvement on what had come before. There have also always been many who have simply never bought what the Souls games are selling in the first place, regarding its harsh difficulty and high stakes as insurmountable obstacles to them actually having any fun. Number 3. Death Stranding. Industry legend Hideo Kojima has always been known for his love of all things strange. But where the Metal Gear series achieved mass popularity by packaging his older instincts inside a relatively conventional stealth game setup, Death Stranding truly lets his freak flag fly. Playing as a courier in a futuristic world, the player has to make deliveries while avoiding rain that will cause them to age rapidly. Your cargo is a custom-engineered fetus who you have to rock back to sleep if it cries, all the while fending off enemies by throwing human waste at them. It really is insane. And while critics largely got on board with this bizarre adventure, many players struggled to get past the sheer overwhelming strangeness of it all.
A cryptobyte a day keeps the time fall away.
Number 2. The Last of Us Part 2. One of the most controversial games in recent history, the follow-up to Naughty Dog's acclaimed zombie drama was beset by scandals before it was even released. Leaks saw the game's closely guarded narrative exposed, while the switch to a female protagonist and rumors of trans characters quickly brought out the most toxic elements of the gaming community. While critics were blown away by the finished product, praising it as one of the year's best, some players were left cold by the game's new protagonist, Abby. Its lessons about the futility of revenge fell on deaf ears, in part because many players' strong affection for the characters killed by Abby, leaving them unable or unwilling to empathize with her side of the story.
Abby! Hold on! Hold me up!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Pokemon Sword and Shield. After Pokemon finally made the jump to console with the retro reboot, Pokemon Let's Go expectations were sky high for the first brand new installment to arrive on the Nintendo Switch. Early reviews of Sword and Shield were full of praise for the charming British setting, the cute campfire mechanics, and the imaginatively designed new monsters. However, longtime fans who had hoped to see every existing Pokemon included in the games were appalled by the dramatically reduced Pokédex. Beyond that, Sword and Shield largely continued Nintendo's emphasis on making all-inclusive, casual-friendly games, which were wonderful for new players but presented little challenge for longtime fans. Overall, this was simply not the epic 3D Pokemon adventure which many had been dreaming of.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.